over some basic concepts of real estate investing to show how important it is to really understand this stuff. So first of all, my name is Bill Omi, like you owe me the rent. I mean, was I destined to be a freaking real estate investor? I was. Let me ask one thing. Are you recording tonight, either Yaz or
Yeah, it's
Umair, if
being
you can?
recorded. It's being recorded, but
Okay.
recording for you, but they're not given out. So pay attention.
Okay, perfect. That's fine. Okay, so we're going to talk real estate investing. My background, business owner, used to be an engineer, right? That was my favorite. I love that job, right? I did engineering, but now lifetime student value creation expert. So, and there's my phone number, so it always works if you need to get in touch with me. But in my day job, I worked 60 hours a week. I loved it. It was the coolest job. But after 23 years, I was freed up to pursue other opportunities. Company went in a different direction, a couple of mergers and buyouts, and all of a sudden, my position wasn't needed anymore. How many people have been laid off from a company? If you haven't, you will. It's a rite of passage, okay? But the big deal about that is when I got laid off, the money stopped coming in. Now what? So I started looking at, okay, let's reinvent myself. Heard about this real estate thing. People are making money. So started learning books, tapes, CDs, and that sort of thing. What's amazing about real estate is you can become financially free in a few years, okay? My claim is 4 years. We have other people in our group who've done it as short as 2 and 3 years. And that means that the cash flow from the real estate, the money coming in from those assets, is paying all your bills. So how many of you out there right now, I don't care if you're making $20,000 a year or $220,000 a year, how many of you have assets that are spinning off cash flow? So that if you lose your job or you want to quit your job, you have that flexibility. The money keeps coming in. What you'll find is most people don't, right? They might have some savings, but they don't have active cash flow. And that's where life gets really exciting. Now, I don't have to work a crappy job. I don't have to drive to a company or anything like that. I get to help others become financially free. So this is like the coolest gig in the world. And again, 90% of the millionaires in this country have done it through real estate investing. And when I saw that statistic, I was like, okay, you've got me. The numbers don't lie. That's good enough for me. Okay, so it's a couple of disclosures before I get really rocking and rolling here. I am what's called an independent contracted marketer for this education company called Renatus. I'm not an employee, but my job here is to give you the best information, the truest information I can, okay, and I will do that. But I'm not a licensed anything. So if you came to this meeting looking for like a financial planner or a CPA or a licensed, I don't know, funeral director, none of that. Okay, I think I have a driver's license that's still valid. My point is this though, there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of credentials, lawyers, accountants, CPAs, financial planners, realtors, brokers, and they spend a lot of effort and time to get those credentials. But I'm going to show you some things today where you can make so much more money without those credentials. You just don't need them. Okay, it's all about creating value. Now look, these folks are going to be really important for your team. So if you're going to be a real estate investor, you're going to have attorneys and you want to have a good CPA, financial planner and all that, but you're still running the show. Final disclaimer, I am a student of this group. Okay, I'm not an instructor, and the strategies I'm going to give you are my strategies over time. But again, real estate investing is risky. Anything we talk about today, you may or may not be ready to do it, or it may not be applicable to your jurisdiction, your state or your county. So you're going to get competent legal help if you do start implementing some of these strategies, okay? Because every place is different. And everything we're going to talk about today is copyrighted, so please don't put us up on Facebook or Instagram with funny memes and, you know, childish nonsense. I would just appreciate that. Okay, so you come here, the group that we all work with is called the Renatus Group, and the Group has something called the EPIC system. So what we focus on is we focus on education, properties, income, and community. There's 4 levels of real estate investing. So first level that a lot of people get involved in is what's called wholesaling. Wholesaling, you're going to take a property, get it under contract, maybe $100,000. Umair is going to be interested in buying it for $105,000, and you're going to actually move the paper from you to Umair. So it's just a paper contract that's going to make you money, and you make $5,000, let's say. Takes maybe 30 days, or you better get it done within 30 days. Is there really any risk? Do you need money or credit? No. Are there a lot of people out there trying to do it and a lot of them doing it incorrectly? Yes. Messing it up? Yes. So wholesaling's downside is there's a lot of busted deals if you don't know what you're doing. Okay? Second level starts getting interesting. Now we're fixing and flipping. So fixing and flipping, you're going to need resources. You're going to need resources to either control or buy the property and fix it up. Do they have to be your resources? Nope, they don't have to be. Is there risk in fixing and flipping? Oh yeah, oh yeah. When you watch those TV shows, you know, flip this house, flip Atlanta, flip your mom's house, whatever, they never talk about the risk. They just show in 18 minutes that somebody makes 60 grand. That don't always work that way. If you don't know what you're doing in fixing and flipping, you can really lose money, okay? But let's talk about a good fix and flip project. It takes about 6 months. You might make $30,000 to $50,000. Life is good, okay? Level 3, this is where we're really gonna focus. Buy and hold. Buy and hold. Now, you're not going to be just fixing and flipping the asset. You're gonna buy assets. You might have them for generations. In fact, I hope you do, okay? So now you have a relationship with the property and with the nice people that are gonna be living there paying you every month, okay? So buy and hold. And then finally, this is sort of the ultimate level, is where you get into money lending. But I'm not talking about money lending like your typical hard money lender, where they have $100,000 and they're lending it out at 10%. I'm talking about creating money out of thin air and lending it out. So if you create money out of thin air, in other words, it didn't exist 5 minutes ago, you create $100,000 and you lend it out at 10%, what's your actual rate of return on the money? This is a question, so let me get the chat line up because I want to see if anybody's paying attention here. You just created it out of thin air and you're lending it out, let's say at 10%. What's your rate of return? It's infinite. Tom knows. Guys, would you like to lend money at infinite rates of return? That's what banks do. Would you like to be a bank? You do it through real estate, okay? It gets really exciting. Okay, so why does this matter? Well, it matters because first 2 levels are earned income. Guys, they're transactional. You do something, you make money. You do something, you make money. If you stop doing it, what happens to the money? Crickets. It stops coming in, okay? So wholesaling and fixing and flipping are great, but you know what? Where the real magic starts to happen is the buy and hold and money lending, because now you're creating wealth out of thin air and then creating money out of that, and then you're creating passive income. Income that's coming in whether you go to work or not. Mailbox money, right? Money that just keeps coming in whether you're on vacation, whether you're working around the house, whether you're like me taking care of all sorts of animals that need homes, just keeps coming in, okay? That's levels 3 and 4. Now, that's going to take you from having a job, because levels 1 and 2 are a job. Look, it can be a really good job. So if you come here and your job that you have right now is not what you want it to be, you can have a really good job in real estate doing wholesaling and fixing and flipping. But financial independence is at levels 3 and 4. Okay? So my story is this. The big checks, that's levels 1 and 2. And everybody loves the big checks, right? It's sort of like the sugar rush of the business. But the real wealth is in little checks. Okay? And you're going to see why in a couple of minutes. Now, everything distilled down to 2 steps to becoming financially independent. I wish somebody would have told me this when I was starting out. When I realized it, I had to stop my car on the side of the road. It was like a lightning bolt. Two-step plan. Can you handle 2 steps? First one, buy cash flowing assets at a huge discount. Buy real estate below market value, way below market value. You create your wealth instantly. This is my model. I buy $70,000 houses for 20 grand. Every time I do that, I'm $50,000 richer by signing my name. 50 grand, one day. If you have a job like society teaches you, how long will it take you to save $50,000? Some people a lifetime. Let's get even more interesting. Could you do an apartment building where it's the $700,000 apartment building, but because of what you know and the value you can create, you can buy it for $200,000, and you just made $500,000 in wealth, which is called equity. How many people want to do 2 of those and be a millionaire? 90% of the millionaires in the United States have done it through real estate. Do you see why? Okay, step 1, you just created wealth out of thin air. By the way, you just created $500,000 buying that apartment building. April 15th rolls around. What's the federal tax rate that you're going to pay on the $500,000 in wealth that you just created? Come on, you CPAs and tax people. Tom's got it, man, 0. We don't tax wealth in the United States. We only tax income. Stop chasing income. Focus on wealth and cash flow. And then maximize cash flow. So you're just accumulating assets like little ATM machines. And they're just going to keep, depending on how you take care of them and how you value them to others, determines how much cash flow you're going to generate from those assets. Rinse, lather, repeat. Or that would be what? Lather, rinse, repeat. That's it. Now, is there a little bit of mechanics behind doing that? Yes, but that's the magic plan. That's all it is. Okay, so let's have some fun now. Cash flow is everything. Cash flow is oxygen. In 2008, when the bank stopped lending money, people that didn't have cash flow went broke. The next time the bank stopped lending money, guess what's going to happen? People without cash flow are going to go broke. It's not that hard to figure out, okay? Okay, 90% of millionaires do it through real estate. I'm going to give you just real quick, and why we're doing all this, a retirement plan, okay? What's actually a life plan, okay? But it's based on cash flow. So if you're doing what they're teaching you on Wall Street right now, you're getting a disservice from those folks. They're the asset base. Save, save, save. Accumulate, accumulate. Work, work, work. Eat rice and beans. Live below your means. Do without, right? Kids, we can't go on vacation this year because mommy and daddy got to save money for our retirements. If you're going to try to have $10,000 a month, which is a reasonable retirement, you're going to need $3.46 million when you retire. Good luck with that, okay? If you learn to create value, you can have as much as you want. It's just how much value you learn to create, okay? And you can do it in a short amount of time. If you're going to do it the old way, you've got to save for like 30 years. And if you get in trouble where you got to start over again, let's say you have to hit that retirement account, like now with this virus, it's too late. If you're 40-something, 50-something, and you don't have $1 million saved up right now, it's too late. There's not enough time for the magic of compounding interest. So you got to go from a passive model to more of an active model, right? You're giving your money to somebody else and helping for the best. Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan don't give a crap about your retirement. I hate to break it to you. The average Goldman Sachs employee makes $638,000 a year. They don't care whether you're going to retire or not, okay? The reason is what? If you're going to do the old way, you're buying the assets at full value. Stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Can you buy Apple stock at a discount. If it trades at $400 today, can you buy it for $300? No, you got to pay full market value. And then what's your business model for it to go up in value? Hope and pray. That's all you got. Hope and prayer are a lousy business model, okay? But you're going to learn in real estate that you can buy or even control assets at huge discounts. Again, you're just creating your wealth instantly by buying them at a discount. Can you do that with Bitcoin? Can you do that with gold, stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, other commodities? It's the only asset class that you can do that. Okay, so you can buy it at a discount and it produces cash flow. Can you rent your gold out and make any money? No, right? Yeah, there's like, you can rent your stock out in a little bit, make like 1 or 2%, but nominally it's zero, okay? You gotta be old to retire. You gotta be like 65 or older. If you're sitting here right now and you're 28 years old and you go into your HR department and you say, hey, I don't wanna wait till I'm 65. I would like to be done by the time I'm 35. What's the plan? What will they say? What will your HR, your very educated, well-trained HR person tell you if you go in with that question? Yeah, they'll call security, right? Get out, get back to work, or we'll find somebody else who will, okay? In real estate, in value creation real estate, it's whenever you get enough value and enough cash flow that exceeds your expenses, you're done, okay? This is the amazing thing. Oh my God. If you do everything they tell you to do, and you have $3.46 million, you haven't eaten anything but rice and beans and worms for the last 40 years, and you've got 3.46 million. What happens the day you retire to your nest egg? What starts happening? It starts going down. You'll never have more money than the day you retire. If you live too long, you will go broke. What a travesty. What a sad thing for people who did everything they were taught to do by the system. When a lot of people made a lot of money off of them. And then when they get to be 85, and God forbid they live to be 90, they're wards of the state. This is not a good plan, okay? Here's the other thing. Under the old model, you have to go to work and earn the money, right? Remember the 401ks, the matching plan, all that other jazz? You've got to do the work and earn the money. You've got to be there. Under a cash flow-based model, you don't have to. You can actually create value for others, and we're going to show you that's the whole idea of this private lending concept, where by creating value for others, you have infinite amounts of resources to work with. See how different this is? Wall Street controls you, or you control you. That's really the difference. Okay, so now let's do a little experiment real quick, because this is, you know, I think this is everything. When I learned this, it was like, holy cow, man. Why aren't we taught this in school? Okay, so let's go on. This is fun. How much is this house worth? Here's the house. Across America, there's little houses like this. Now look, there may not be a house like this in San Francisco, but middle America, who's drawn on my screen? Middle America, the Southeast, you know, working areas in Pennsylvania, Ohio, whatever, all over the place. Let me get rid of these scratches because somebody's drawn on my screen. Hold on, I got this. Clear all drawings. Okay, is that good? Oh, that didn't do it. Hold on, I got this. Clear my drawings, clear all drawings. There it is. You learn this stuff over time. Okay, so there's the house. Let's go on because this is good. So here's a hint. Paid $28,000 for it. It's worth $79,900 today, and it rents for $650 a month. So from what you're taught in your traditional real estate, financial world, Susie Orman, Dave Ramsey, your dad and mom, how much is that house worth? Franklin says 200K. Kevin says, okay, 70K, 70K, 200K, 250,000 in the DC area. Okay. that house is actually worth, see, you guys are measuring it on comps. You're measuring it on asset based. That's what they teach you to do. That house is actually worth $642,000. And here's why. Because that house, that money, if you had $642,000 right now, and I don't know how you got it, right? You saved and scrimped and did without and never took your kids to Disney World, and you saved $642,000. Right now in the bank, that house, that money would make you 1%, and you'd make $535 a month. That's the cash flow available for you to spend without hitting the principal. That same house, $28,000 house, yields the same amount. So on a cash flow basis, that piece of real estate is worth as much as 642 in the bank, 42,000. But it gets better. Because if you had 642,000, because that's what you were taught to do, save money in the bank, right? That money is depreciating every day due to inflation. In fact, oh my God, because of the Federal Reserve keeping interest rates below the rate of inflation, you're losing purchasing power. This has never happened before, guys. This is a distortion that in a normal economy would never happen. You would never be able to, borrowing rates would always be above inflation in a normal market economy, because otherwise there'd be no reason for you to lend money to a bank, okay? So every day you're losing purchasing power, whereas the house, which is a reflection of the depreciating currency, the house is going up in value, okay? And back to rules number 1 and 2. Can you buy $642,000 at a discount? Well, you might be able to buy it like down the street where it's bogus bills, but real money, no. No, you cannot buy it at a discount. Whereas in real estate, as we just said, what? Rule number 1, you can buy real estate at a huge discount, okay? And then you're gonna use actually something you're gonna learn working with us called velocity banking. So the actual money that you owe on it, let's say you borrowed a little money, you're gonna pay it off in a couple of months rather than years. And then that asset is free and clear. Ain't nothing better than a high cash flowing asset, because I've read somewhere that they've never had a foreclosure on a paid off house, okay? So this is the concept of a cash flow based existence, a cash flow based financial plan, instead of accumulation, instead of asset based, okay? Let's see if there's anything else here. What's the cash flow? Cash flow is money generated by the asset. So if you have a house that's paying rent, there's cash flow associated with that. If you have a piece of land, there's no cash flow. In fact, it's a negative cash flow because you've got to pay taxes on that property. So how can you take a piece of land and actually generate cash flow from it, turn it into a cash flowing asset? I meant calculating the value. You need to know the cash flow. The 642,000, that is just assuming an interest rate of 1%. That's how much you would make each year on the bank. That same amount is what the property nets. So that's how you look at a cash flow equivalence. I hope that answers the question. Okay, so our group, yeah, rent the land to a farmer, put a cell phone tower, grow marijuana on it. Sure, there's lots of ways to make money off of raw land. But just raw land, from a cash flow basis, has no value, okay? So our group is based on 4 concepts. First one is education. How do you start thinking differently, right? How do you learn what other people know about this investing model? Properties. Properties as in you've got to start accumulating assets. Wealthy people have wealth. It's right in the name. Do you ever hear people walking around saying, hey, you know what? I wish I was a more income-y person. No. But yet, because of the system, because of the media and everything else, everybody's taught to chase income. And what do we tax in the United States? Income. Oh my God. And we tax it progressively, which is actually regressively, meaning the more you make, the more you pay. Oh my God. So the third thing is an income opportunity. So we have an income opportunity as a way to pay some bills while you're building your your real estate empire. Okay? Because people come to us and they're like, hey, Bill, I'd love to do all this real estate stuff, but it's going to take some time. It's like, yes, it is. You're not going to do it tomorrow. But if you're coming here and you need some income, we have a way that you can make income in this group that's not related to building your empire. And then finally, community. Community. Like-minded people that are doing this. Are you hanging out with the type of people that inspire you? Think about the folks you hang out with. Do you look at them and say, man, I want to be like that person? Or are you hanging out with people you're comfortable with? It's okay to hang out with people you're comfortable with, but then you can't expect that those relationships are going to do anything, right? My saying is, do millionaires hang out with broke people? No. There's nothing in it for the millionaires, okay? So this sort of the saying is, if you can't change your friends, you might want to change some of your friends, right? Get with people that have like mind, that are going somewhere, that have a similar mindset, and you will benefit dramatically from that community. Now, the education is going to get you specific knowledge, because we're going to talk about stuff today, and some of you guys are going to know some of it, and some of you are going to be like, whoa, I don't get that. That's fine. That's okay, because you can learn. Properties are going to start buying you back time, because most people right now are trading all their time for money. Think about it, right? It's just chasing the dollar. The income opportunity will actually generate money. Again, another stream of income regardless of your real estate empire. But community is going to get you relationships. Oh, relationships are more important than money, okay? Because wealthy people know it's not just what you know, but who you know. Look at wealthy people and who they hang out with. They hang out with other wealthy people, other people that are successful, right? They don't hang out with just regular worker bees, okay? So the relationships are huge. So these are 4 currencies that everybody has that they can trade for other currencies. Which currency do people spend all their time chasing? Most people spend their whole lives chasing it and they never have enough of it. Which currency? Money.
Income.
Income, money, pay the bills, right? Stay ahead of the, whatever you got to stay ahead of so that the car doesn't get repossessed, the house doesn't get foreclosed on, credit cards don't get canceled. Here's the reality of the situation though. And this is what we're going to lead up to about raising funds. Money is everywhere. It is actually the easiest currency to find. The shortage tends to be knowledge and relationships, right? So take an example. If you're struggling with money, if you had better knowledge, could you get more money? Does a brain surgeon make more money than a customer service person? Yep, right? Society values them higher, they get paid more money. If you had better relationships, would you have access to all the money you want? Yes. Number 1 relationship is what? The banking system. If your profile is such that the banks like you, you have infinite money to draw upon. It's just amazing. But are you creating enough value for the bank to want to have a relationship with you? I know that you want to have a relationship with the bank because that's where all the money is, right? But what about the other way in that equation? Are you really the type of person, are you the type of credit profile that the bank feels comfortable really lending to at the lowest possible rates? If not, we got to work on that relationship. So it's really knowledge and relationships that you have to work on, and then the money is easy, okay? And I'll show you, that's the whole thing I'm going to show you, but I want to lead up to this. Okay, so where was I? Let me go through. I would do this if nobody was here. I love this presentation. This is fun. Okay, so what's preventing you guys, anybody here who's struggling, starting, or just trying to take the business to the next level, what is holding you back? Why aren't you going out tomorrow morning and building a portfolio of high cash flowing rentals so that you never have to work again? What's holding you back? Okay, so Alan and Tom and Brian say it's money. Another Alan says knowledge. Okay, again, the money thing, let me give you an example. Did you know you can go out wherever you are and you could buy a $400,000 house tomorrow or a $400,000 apartment building with no money and no credit? Tomorrow morning, you could do that. Did you know that? And do you know how? but it's absolutely being done all the time. Okay, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But that's a knowledge issue, right? That's a knowledge issue. Okay, inventory. There's inventory all around the country. It might not be where you live, right? You may have to invest remotely, but one of our biggest instructors, one of our most successful instructors, lives in Hawaii. He doesn't buy properties in Hawaii. He buys properties in areas where the properties make sense. He buys where the investments make sense. He doesn't buy where he lives. If I lived in San Francisco, I'm not going to be buying rentals in San Francisco. It's financial suicide. Okay? But there's probably half of the country, maybe even more, they're an absolute gold mine. Okay? How do you get knowledge in relationships? Well, we just talked about that. What about education? What about community? There's your knowledge in relationships. How? Well, we'll talk about how. Finding the right property is the biggest barrier. Worried about getting a lemon. Needs too much work, didn't see it. Okay, you're going to learn how to find properties at a huge discount that cash flow like crazy. If you're buying the property at a deep enough discount, you don't really care about how much rework it is. Okay? Because you're going to be getting the property so cheap that a small amount of rework isn't going to cost you anything. Again, what happens is people buy the assets and they don't do their part. They're not adding value by buying the properties at a huge discount. So if you're looking at a house on the MLS and you buy it for $100,000, that's not buying that's not an investor. That's a person that has a house now. But if you bought that same property for $15,000, now you just created all that value on day one. See the difference? Difference between being an investor and just being a person who bought a house, okay? What is the framework to obtaining it? Well, you started by today. Constance, you're here, right? Or is it, I'm not sure if it's Constance or Emmanuel. But you're here getting relationships. Are there not, 65 other people that are interested in the same thing today? Right? Okay, time. I'm spending all my time on a job, not running iOS. Yeah. So and the reason you're spending all your time on a job is what? Because you need the money, right? You need the money. So the most valuable commodity you have is time, because nobody's getting out of this thing alive, right? And here you're spending all of your time chasing a small amount of money. People will work their lives away and put their kids in daycare to be raised by some stranger because they have to, right? Because they don't have the knowledge and relationships to get the money somewhere else. Guys, trust me, we're going to go over this in a bit. But I want to shake you up a little bit. I want you to think. I want this to hurt a little bit, right? You're like, what the heck is he talking about? How could this be? How come I don't know this? I've got an MBA from blah, blah, blah school, and I'm still $100,000 in debt for the student loans. Why didn't I learn this? Right? It's so funny, man. I've had MBAs. I've had really, really educated people that'll sit on a conversation like this. They are mad. They get angry with me. They'll challenge me on every one, and I'll just say, show me where I'm wrong. Well, it has to be wrong because I didn't see any of this in my MBA program. How much did that cost you? $100,000. Really? $100,000 and they didn't teach you this? Woo-hoo-hoo! Can you get your money back? Ooh, sorry. Anyway, okay, let's have some fun. Let's move on. It's gonna make sense. Look, I got it. Okay, so today we're gonna talk. Look, the two biggest things in real estate that everybody gets to, and correct me if I'm wrong, where do I find the deals and how do I fund them? Okay, those are like the first two commandments in the Bible for real estate. How do I find deals? And we're not going to go over finding the deals so much, but we'll talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk about funding it. Okay, why would they teach you to keep secrets to themselves? Yeah, you think the bankers, the politicians, all these really wealthy people, do you think they want everybody to know how the system is set up? No, they want you to go to your jobs, work like crazy, do the tasks that need to be done so that they can be incredibly wealthy, right? How do people live on minimum wage? Oh my God, I don't even know what minimum wage is, but I know I could never live on it. And yet some large percentage of the population, in fact, let me give you a number, and this is going to be important as we're doing our thing. The median income in the United States is $58,000 a year. That means half the people in the United States are trying to live, that's a family of 4, are trying to live on $58,000 a year gross or less. Oh my God. Think about it. 2 people working service jobs, 13 bucks, 12 bucks, 11 bucks, 10 bucks an hour. They're working at, I don't know, Walmart, #1 employer in the United States, Target, Red Lobster, hotels, service industry, Disney World, all the jobs in Las Vegas, right? Service sector jobs, poverty level jobs. What's going on, man? How come they weren't taught not to do that? Okay, so let's go on. You need lots of followers, yeah. Okay, so let's talk about funding deals. Real simplest ways to fund deals. The easiest one is if you have cash. Okay, it's like, well, yeah, I knew that. No, this is important. If you have cash, you not only do you have more options and you can do things quicker and you can actually get better deals, but remember, it doesn't have to be your cash. It's just the whole idea is that you have cash and you can buy something right when you see the opportunity. Now, it could be something like a bank loan. Now, bank loans take time, but if you have a good relationship with a bank, you can get loans, right? But you're going to need what? Good credit. You're going to need cash flow from a job, and you're going to need a down payment. How's that working for everybody in a COVID world? How's that cash flow from a job going? How's those credit scores going? You don't think everybody, or not everybody, but a large portion of the population that couldn't handle it now has lower credit scores? Of course. Banks are tightening credit. They're lowering credit lines. They're afraid of risk, okay? But what? You're going to get the lowest possible interest rates from a bank, okay? And there's a limit on loans. So if you're an investor, you start realizing you try to get, I don't know what the number is anymore, 10 maybe. It's a Fannie Freddie requirement that the banks can't lend to investors. Think about it. Why do the banks do that? You think maybe the big guys don't want the little guys to encroach upon their market? Yeah, right? It's like if they cut off your funds, it's like cutting off your oxygen. Because what? People are living on, and think about 2008 when everybody was, oh, free money. Yeah, it was like heroin until there wasn't free money. And then huge sections of most investors got crushed because they got sucked into the nonsense of the free money, okay? Lines of credit. Now, a line of credit, if you have it, is just the same as if you had cash. It's bank cash, right? So you can actually write a check, send a wire, boom, you own something. Now, again, doesn't mean you should own something. If it's not a good deal, shame on you. But you're going to run into other investors, as I say, have more money than brains. How are you going to compete against them? You're not. If you're out there competing against other investors, why are you doing that? Why aren't you going into areas where they're not? It's like crazy. I mean, if I'm going to do anything, I would rather have no competition. But people are like, no, I've got to do it because that's all I've heard. You know, I'm on the MLS and all the properties get sold in 5 minutes. I love when people say, I live in a hot market and the properties sell in 5 minutes. It's like, why the heck are you in that market? How are you supposed to get a deal in that market? Well, it's just my market. You don't know what you're talking about. It's like, okay, knock yourself out, man. Sounds frustrating to me. Sounds painful to me, but what can I say? Okay, so one, you're always working to build a good relationship with the banks. Okay, whatever you're doing, look, if you have zero credit right now, eventually you're going to get to the point where the banks will lend you money. That's what you want. One, it gives you options. Two, it gives you the lowest possible rate. Let me ask you guys that are experienced with banks. What's the best loan to value you can get on a loan? What will a bank lend you if you're going to go buy a property? Give me a number. 90%. Wow, Tom's got some good lenders. Usually it's about 80%, like Umair said. Can you get properties? Will a bank lend you money at 240% of market value? You ever hear of that before? We don't know what we don't know. right? Here's my bank. So I buy properties at $70,000 properties, actually 60,000 for 20 grand. That's my cookie cutter model. Okay. And look, could you buy properties for 150 grand for 70 grand? Yes. But let's just go with this because the numbers work fine. $60,000 house, you buy it for 20 grand. How do you do that? Well, you're going to get knowledge, right? If you don't know how to do it, you got to learn. Are you born with knowledge like this? Are you born with knowledge to do Pythagorean theorem? No, you learned it somehow. Okay. Back to my story. $60,000 house, you buy them for 20 grand all day long. So I walked into a bank, just a local bank, because my wife was going to the grocery store. I talked to the banker. I said, I got a question for you. He says, what's that? I says, I buy these houses for 60 grand. I buy them for 20 grand. Okay. I rent them out. They cash flow like crazy. I mean, they're absolute ATM machines. And I got people lined up that want that deal. And the guy says, wait a minute, let me bring my president of the bank in. So he brings the president bank in. I tell the same story. I says, will you lend me on those? He says, how many of those can you find? I said, well, how many will you lend me on? He goes, every single one you can find. I said, really? He says, yeah. I says, how much will you lend me? He says, I'll lend you 80% of the market value. Market value is 60. So he's going to lend $48,000 on a property that I just bought for 20 grand. What's that? 240% of purchase price? What's your relationship with a bank right now? Just telling you. Okay, so there's a great story. Okay, here. Okay, then you're going to learn some other strategies, because if you're not going to use your money or bank's money, now are you going to use the seller's money, right? Your seller financing, subject to, you're going to learn how to do that. Other creative acquisition strategies. You can use options. You can use master lease agreements. All these different ways that investors control properties without necessarily having money. See, it's not a money issue, it's a knowledge issue. Okay. Retirement accounts. This is a huge way to create value. There's trillions of dollars in retirement accounts. Most people have no idea that they can buy something other than what the Vanguard, Schwab, and Fidelity people tell them, right? The Wall Street crowd. Did you know? Did you know that you can actually buy real estate, notes, businesses in your retirement account? Wealthy people do that. Okay, wealthy people do not hand their money to somebody else. Because they can create more value than those people, they do it themselves. Here's my question. I love this. When you're talking to your Fidelity rep, or even some financial planners, I know I'm going to anger some people, are they really smart enough to be giving you advice? What's a Fidelity rep to make? I don't know, 40 grand a year? What do financial planners make? I don't know. But a lot of times those people that you're holding as the paragons of financial information, they need the money more than you do. Hard money lenders. I don't know why anybody uses hard money lenders. That's because they don't have knowledge. Okay? Hard money lenders, you got to use their rules. It's their money, their rules. It's expensive money. It can be helpful if it's quick money. If you have a deal that you can use hard money and then refinance it properly, yeah, I guess you could do that. But again, you don't need to do it. It's just, again, they haven't learned, they don't know what they don't know. Okay, so let's go back. Now we're going to get to private lenders. Everybody out there who has money, who's trying to find a return on their money. It could be your neighbor. It could be your coworker. It could be your relative, right? People are sitting around right now going, what am I supposed to do with my money? I can make 1.2% in the bank, and that ain't going to cut it. I can go into the stock market, but man, if the market corrects 50%, I'm going to just have a meltdown. So let's help these private lenders out a little bit. Focus on creating value for people. What's their needs, right? Most people are like, They're mostly worried about themselves. Well, I need money to do real estate. It's like, really? And how's that working for you? Don't do that. Think about your customer. When you're doing rentals, think about your tenants. Try to understand the other party and what's valuable to them, okay? We're going to show you in a couple minutes, never use the words borrow or lend. Strike those out of your existence. Those are like bad words, okay? You can't use them. Because when you're asking somebody to borrow or lend, you're asking them for a favor. You're coming to them hat in hand, and it's a crappy position to be in, okay? Stop asking people to lend. Stop begging for money. Work on building relationships. Remember, relationships and knowledge. Work on building relationships, adding value instead of finding money. Create value for the other people. And we're going to show you in a minute. Be proud of your deals. See, this is what happens a lot of times. People will come up with a deal, and it's a crappy deal. Let me just be frank. It's just a crappy deal. And then they go out and they say, will somebody lend me on this deal? And everyone runs away because anybody who has any money knows it's a crappy deal. And then people are like, they throw a little fit. They're like, nobody will lend me money. No, real estate doesn't work. No, it works perfectly. The system is absolutely perfect. Because if you have a crappy deal, no one should lend you money. That's the beauty of it, okay? So start listening to what the universe is telling you. If you're not getting money, if you're not having people come to you and want to lend on deals, your deals stink, okay? So let's use something called the indirect approach. Let's show some people value and have them want to work with you, okay? Create value and you will attract infinite resources. Infinite resources, okay? Remember I told you about the bank who said, hey, I will do every single one of those. And you know why the banker, I talked to the banker and I said, well, why will you lend on every one I can find? He goes, because you're going to sign something called a assignment of rents. He said, if you default on me, he says, we're going to write a letter to your tenants and they're going to mail their checks to us. With the numbers that you're showing me, we'll never have to foreclose. We would just pay off those houses with the cash flow from the rents. Remember I told you cash flow is everything? He says, you are no risk. He says, I wish I could find 100 people like you to lend on. Start with smaller deals. Okay, when you're starting this process, people you're going to run into can lend $30,000, $40,000. If you start talking to people about lending 140, 150, 300,000, $500,000, how big is your audience? And how big is your audience that's going to work with you, right? What value are you bringing that you think that type of money, you're entitled to that type of money? Well, that's what it costs in my area. That the counterparty doesn't care. That's your problem, okay? So you're not entitled to this. You have to create value. Yeah, it's easier to get $40,000 lent 10 times than one $140,000 deal, okay? So use these ways to fund the deals. Work on the banking, okay? Because if you have a crappy credit score, first of all, that's inexcusable. If you have a crappy credit score, that's your first priority. Your credit profile is like your honor in the financial world. Fix it. Do whatever it takes because it's going to hinder you your whole life. Did you know that your insurance rates will be substantially higher on all your insurance if you have crappy credit? Do you know you might not get a job because if your future employer decides to run your credit check and finds out you got lousy credit, you're a higher risk to be a deadbeat employee. Now, will they tell you that's the reason you didn't get hired? No. That phone not ringing is that employer not calling. But that's absolutely true, okay? Your credit profile is a reflection on your honesty, your behavior, your judgment. And if you don't have a good one, fix it, okay? It's not like you can't. But most people, again, they think they're entitled to something. I don't get it. Okay, let me see where I am now. Oh, I'm looking at the chat line here. Yep, that's me. They said you have it done. And I said, well, I'm getting started. Okay, I'm not sure what that is, but I'll move on here. Okay, don't count on one or two ways. Look, If you're going to do real estate investing, if you're going to create value, you want to have all of this stuff humming. You want to have 5, 6, 7 different ways. So when you see a deal, maybe it's a subject to deal. Maybe it's going to be you're just going to make payments on somebody else's loan. Sort of the ultimate. Maybe it's seller financing. Maybe you can create value for somebody who doesn't need all the money right away. Maybe you can get an option on the property, right? Maybe somebody for $10,000 will option you out a $300,000 house. Did you ask? Okay. Maybe you have lines of credit. Maybe you have retirement accounts. Doesn't have to be yours. It could be somebody else's. You have now all these different methods for funding a deal. Okay. But it's not a knowledge. It's not a money issue. It's a knowledge and relationships issue. Okay. Okay. Let's move on because we'll get into the actual meats and potato. So now we're going to do raising unlimited funds. This is actual script to do it. How long was I supposed to talk today, Umair? Is it 2 hours, 1 hour? I got 1 hour? We're good. Okay. And guys, if you have questions, let me bring the chat line up because I'm trying to talk and bring chat lines up at the same time. I'm more than willing to help, to answer. I'm not sure, Jason, what you want. You are so smooth with the delivery, or you have my attention. Chaz! Thank you. All compliments are okay, especially sincere ones. Okay, now this is the fun part. Look, I went over this because I want to shake things up a little bit. I don't want to come in here and just give you guys one idea. I want to show you why this is important. I want to show you why this will change your life if you learn how to do this. Okay, it's really that big. And I gave you the two-step program, the Financial Freedom. Can everybody handle 2 steps? Was there anybody here who can't handle that complex equation that I just put out? Because I don't know if I can make it any simpler than that. Okay, all the books and tapes and everything you read, that is what it all distills down to. Okay, Constance, the best way to obtain credit repair assistance. We actually will give you free credit repair. We have one of our instructors who is, as a public service, will work with you to get your credit repaired. He doesn't even charge for it. Do you have that relationship? You would if you were working with us. See, we don't know what we don't know. I said to Eric, I says, you're going to do credit repair for free? He goes, yeah, I can do credit repair for free. He says, bring all the people you got. Holy cow, changes everything, right? Okay. My free credit repair. Oh, my free credit repair. I'm lined up with I need the info. Get with the person who brought you back. Umair can give it to you. Okay. Guys, this is important stuff, right? You just asked a question. We have an answer for it. Okay. So let's go on though. Private money. First thing, everybody here, how many people I got? 68 people. Every one of you right now, I don't care if you got 50 houses, you've done 10,000 fix and flips, or you can't spell real estate. You are a real estate investor at this moment, and everybody should know it, okay? And I'm not kidding. I'm not making this up. If you live in a house, if you sleep under a roof at night, and you pay rent, a mortgage, or let's say it's paid off, your mom gave you the house and you're paying taxes and insurance. You're trading money for real estate. You are now a real estate investor. You might not be on the good side of the table for that investment though, right? But you're still a real estate investor. So start owning that. Let's sure everybody knows that. So when you're talking to people, I'm telling you from today on, when we get off this meeting, hey, what do you do, Chaz? What do you do, David? Hey, I'm a market analyst and I'm a real estate investor. Or I'm a retired retail manager and I'm a real estate investor. Or I am unemployed at the present time and I'm a real estate investor. That'll evoke a lot of interest, right? Always end with real estate investor. Because I'll tell you what, if you were to say I'm an astrophysicist and a real estate investor, which part of that sentence are people going to ask you about? They're always asking about the real estate investing because everybody's seen a fix and flip show. Everybody knows of somebody who's really rich because of real estate. They're like, dude, what do you do in real estate investing? How does that work? I've always thought about it. Oh my God, that's my ultimate goal. So you're going to attract attention by letting that just be part of your title. okay? And it's going to pay off in a couple of minutes, and I'm going to show you why, okay? Because everybody is a real estate investor. Okay? This is important. Do not slough this off. This is your first step. You're now a real estate investor. Own it. Okay. Your task in this raising money thing is to structure great deals and be able to explain those deals in 30 seconds or less, right? So when you go into the bank, like I went in, I said, hey, I buy these little houses. I'm buying them at a huge discount. They're worth about 60 grand. I pick them up for 20. I rent them out. I got people all day long who want them. My little claim to fame is all my tenants have a pathway to ownership. That's my shtick, okay? Every one of my tenants wants to end up owning the property. Right there. There's your shtick. Could it be, hey, I'm buying an apartment building, blah, 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 blah. I buy them at a discount. They make a lot of cash flow. Here's how I do it, blah, blah, blah. I buy storage units. I know how to buy them at a discount. I buy duplexes and quadplexes because I live in a college town and we rent them out to college people. They pay pretty good money on them. Here's how much cash flow I make. They're really good. Whatever it is, okay? I don't know your business. But your job is to have the knowledge to show off that deal, because somebody is going to listen to what you say and they're going to decide right away either you're a jerk or, whoa, okay, you've got my attention. That's pretty cool. Let's go on, okay? If your deals are bad, you don't deserve money from anybody. I hope they don't lend to you. That's the world working perfectly. If everybody had that situation, if the free market system was allowed to work, there'd be a lot less people going bankrupt because the market is self-regulating, okay? So if you're putting together bad deals and nobody's lending on them, if that's your situation right now, just stop putting together bad deals. Stop digging a hole. Stop doing stupid stuff. Learn how to put together good deals, okay? It takes a little time, it takes a little relationship and some knowledge, but just learn how to do it, okay? Stuff's pretty easy. Next. Show investors your deals. So here's what I want you to do. And if you already have a deal, you have people that you know, friends, family, or you might have people that are just you respect, right? They might be business owners. They might be real estate investors. So part of what you're going to do is you're just going to ask people, hey, Michael Bonk, I know you're an experienced real estate investor because you've told me, right? Everybody's a real estate investor. I have a deal. Can I get your opinion on it? Do you have 2 minutes for me? Okay, who here would say, no, get out of my face, I'm not interested in listening to your 2-minute deal? Okay, did I ask anybody for money? No, I asked them for an opinion, okay? Do you guys see it? How simple this is to open a conversation? This should be like, just learn to do this. Ask people for their opinion. Does everybody flatter themselves that their opinion is worth something? If you ask somebody for their opinion, especially on something to deal with money, is that not sort of a nice thing to do? It's like, well, I want my opinion. Okay, I'll give you the best I can. Doesn't cost me anything. We're good, right? Okay, so you're going to get their opinion. Now, you're going to showcase the deal. Hey, Michael Bonk, thanks for letting me show you the deal. Look, I've got this deal. I'm looking at an apartment building right now. This thing, it's probably worth about $300,000. I think I can pick it up for $210 with what I'm talking about. It's the cash flow is blah, blah, blah. If I work it up, it's going to be that much better. Do you see anything in this deal that I could do better? Is there anything in here that you could add to help me out? Just another set of eyes on the deal. And there's only 2 ways that question is going to be answered, right? Either you're going to get a good suggestion. So if the person is really smarter than you, they're going to go, man, you're on the right track. Check out this, this, and this, right? If they do, you just got an incredible amount of knowledge, right? You just got like a huge boost of knowledge. So let's say you're buying a little house and you're going to get $700 a month for a 3-bedroom house. And you're like, hey, is that a good deal or not? If you were to call me or call Michael, he'd say, Well, let me ask you a question. 700 on a 3-bedroom, right? Is it in a college town? Well, yeah, it's like 20 minutes away from University of Florida. Did you ever think of renting it out per bedroom to the students? Do some student housing? So now instead of getting $700 a month on that property, get $500 a bedroom, 1, 2, 3. So you get $1,500 a month. Is that practical? Have you looked into maybe, I don't know, transitional housing or veterans housing or, I don't know, maybe assisted living? Any of that stuff come up where you could juice cash flow 2, 3, 4 times? Wow, never really thought of that. Oh yeah. Right? So now you just got a huge blast of valuable information. But a lot of times, if your deals are good enough, see, this is you again. If your deals are good enough, the answer will almost always be, no, looks good to me, because you're putting together an exceptional deal. Your knowledge and relationships, your value creation is way higher than the person you're talking to. And that's good. Okay, you've done your job. So be like, no, okay, well, listen, and this is so cool. You know what, Michael? Just thanks so much, man. I really appreciate your input because that suggestion you gave me was really good. By the way, if you know of anybody that would be interested in this deal, could you just give them my phone number? And next time you're in town, I'm buying lunch. Okay. As you're hanging up the phone, about 80% of the time, if your deal is as good as you say it is, what will you hear? If you were on the other side of the phone, yeah, what about me? What am I, chopped liver? Wait a minute. If this deal is as good as you say, go over those numbers again, because I wasn't really listening. Go over those numbers again. Okay, well, blah, 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 blah. That's a really good deal, man. Oh, perfect. You're interested in it? Hey, listen, no problem. Now, here's before they say they're interested. If they're not interested, this is the best part. They'll agree to give out your number. They don't even have to give out your number. You're not asking them to do anything that's uncomfortable. You're not jeopardizing your relationship with them. You're just, I'm trying to move my screen around. You'll just be, now, what's cool about this is, let's say they don't say, hey, what about me? It doesn't mean your deal wasn't any good. It could just be their circumstances. They may be tied up with other problems. They may have, family stuff going on. They just may not be interested in dealing with it right now. So it's not that your deal wasn't good. It's just, it's humans, right? But the point is, the next time you call, they'll answer the phone. If you come to me and you say, hey, Bill, I got this deal. Will you lend me $100,000? Okay, at that moment, and this is the same thing you're going to do if it was turned around, all I'm thinking about is, okay, how am I going to let this guy down? I have no interest in lending on his deal. I haven't even heard the deal. But I'm like, no, there's no way I'm lending this person. They don't know what the hell they're talking about because they wouldn't have asked me to borrow money, okay? I don't lend money to people who need to borrow money because they don't pay it back, okay? So instead, they're just listening to the deal because you haven't asked them for anything. So you haven't tarnished the relationship. So the next time you call, hey, Michael Bonk, I got another deal. You got a couple minutes? Michael will be like, yeah, that last deal you had was pretty good, man. Did you get it done? Yeah, I got it done. The guy who's working with me on it, he's making a ton of money. Really? Well, that sort of sucks because I should have taken that deal. But tell me about this new deal, right? So now you've got somebody's attention. You've got their respect, okay? And this is huge. The person may also say, hey, you know what? Now that you're a real estate investor, I got something going on here. I just inherited my mom's house. I don't know what to do with it. I don't have time. I'm a brain surgeon. I'm too busy cutting on people's brains. Can you help me with this thing? Get this thing out of my way? Happens all the time, okay? But let's go back. So you're never asking to borrow money. All you're doing is asking for an opinion. You're showing value. You're asking for opinion. If it's a good deal, the person will opt in to the conversation. They will basically give you permission. They will say, hey, I'm interested, tell me more. I'm interested. Can I be part of your deal? Do you guys see this? When you get this down smooth, it is unbelievable. Okay, I've raised millions of dollars doing this, and it is like, it's amazingly easy. Okay, so I'm trying to move my screen around again, so sorry about that. So let's keep going with this now. Oh, you're interested? Oh, hey, listen, perfect. Well, what can you help with this deal? Okay, do you want to fund it? Because I'll tell you what, I'll do the work. I know what I'm doing. I'll do the work. And how about you fund the deal? Is that a reasonable thing? Guys, that's 90% of it. It's like, well, yeah. If you can't fund it, do you know of somebody who can fund it? Well, my mother has some money, and saying, okay, fine, let's use her money. Okay, here's this. This is the important part, though. Okay, what are you making on the money in the bank? Maybe 1 or 2%. Now the banks are lending at about 4 or 5%. What would you consider an attractive interest rate for your money? Okay, you guys, if I was asking you that question, what, oh, wait a second. I'm gonna get back, share my screen. Hold on, I got this. I pushed the wrong button. Okay, so now, given that question, what would you consider an attractive interest rate? The banks are lending at 4 or 5%. You're only making 1 or 2% on your money. What would you consider an attractive interest rate? Chat line. 8 to 10, 8 to 10, 8 to 10. You know what the answer is? I'm telling you guys, over time, this is the answer. 7 to 8 or 10. Boom! Isn't that amazing? I asked you guys before I gave you the answer, right? 7 to 8 or 10. Not 9. So it won't be 9. It'll be 7 to 8 or 10. 7 to 8 because they're looking, they're saying, kind of look about it. The way I couched the question was, I didn't say how much do you want on your money? Because if somebody asked me that question, you know what my answer would be? 1,000%. I'm answering honestly, right? No, no, no. You have to provide the guardrails in the question, and that is, okay, well, what's anybody making in the bank right now? 1 or 2%? I don't ask them and then wait for an answer. I give them the answer. 1 or 2%, and the banks are lending. Now, remember, if I don't have good credit, I didn't say I can borrow from the banks. I'm changing it to maybe what your situation is. Now, I can borrow from the banks at 4 or 5%, but that's not the point. If you're just starting out, it's like, well, the banks are lending on investments at maybe 4 or 5%. What would you consider an attractive rate for your money? And it will be 8, 7 or 8, or 10%. Just like you guys said, man. 10 is a magic number. Double digits is a magic number. Now, look, if the person says, well, you know what, 18%, then it's no problem. You just say, well, you know what, you saw the deal. I don't think 18% will work. I mean, it's a good deal, but it's not exceptional, and it just won't support it. But listen, you know, maybe on the next deal, we'll look at the next deal. What will they say then? Usually it's like, yeah, I don't need 18%. Keep going. 7 or 8% is fine. They're just testing you out. They might be playing with you. If you were to ask me, I'd say 1,000%. Because you know what? If you could figure out how to get me 1,000%, I'm all ears. Okay, because I want to hear if you're that good. Okay. Well, okay, 7 or 8%. Well, that works for me. Now, look, I only need the money for a year. Are you okay with that? Most people are going to be like, well, yeah, I thought it'd be much longer than that. It's like, no, 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 a year. Is that good? Yeah, that's good. Okay. But I have some rules. And they're thinking, oh, okay, what's the catch here, right? Here's the rules. 1, you've got to take a monthly interest check. Okay, so if you're going to lend me, I just use $20,000 because I do it all the time. $20,000, that means every month you're going to get a $167 check. Is that okay with you? What will everybody say? Yeah, you know what they usually say? They'll go, well, you don't have to. I go, no, 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 that's a rule. You have to get a check every month. Well, okay, fine, if that makes you happy, okay. Then the second rule is, now look, we're only going to have this place for 1 year. I'm only going to hold the money for 1 year. But if I sell the house while you're lending on it, you're going to get an extra $2,000 bonus just as a thank you from me. Is that okay? What will they say? What would you say? They go, yeah, fine. Okay, where's the catch? Okay, and you're like, no, 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 that's no catch, right? Now think about this. That's called an equity kicker. You're not intending to sell the property. This is going to be a buy and hold, okay? But if you do, if somebody comes along and says, hey man, I'll give you 50 grand for that house, and it happens all the time, and you're like, okay. Instead of being scarcity and fear of loss, would you be proud to pay your investor an extra $2,000? Do you think that would have a value overload? That would be an endorphin rush for your investor if you said, hey, guess what? You're not going to believe this, man. I just sold a house. Here's your $20,000 back, and here's your $2,000 bonus. They would be like, holy crap. And you know what they'll usually say? They'll be like, well, dude, don't give it back to me. Let's go do another deal, right? Stop thinking about you. Start thinking about creating value like Johnny Appleseed. You want to be like the monster value creator. People don't even realize that you can do this much, okay? Because they will be attracted to you like a magnet, okay? Third rule though, okay, what's the third rule? Look, I know I said need the money for a year, but if you need it back, if you need it back anytime early, just let me know and I'll cash you out in 2 weeks. Is that okay? Hell yeah, right? So far, is everything okay in those rules? If you're the lender, if you're the person who's partnering up with me right now, are you like, holy crap, this is great, right? So let me ask you guys, let's say the person comes, and this never happened, but let's say the person needs the money. Their car breaks down, they're getting divorced, whatever happens 3 months into the deal, and they need their money back. What are you going to do? How are you going to get them their money back? Come on. Not do another deal. Find another investor. Right. You're going to just do that same process with somebody else, but the deal's going to be even better. So let's say Tom was my investor and I call up Umair. I don't know all the names in the thing, or Renee. I call Renee and I go, hey, Renee, you know, I'm a real estate investor, right? Oh, yeah. Listen, I got this deal. You got a minute to look at it with me? Well, sure. Deal. Tom's already got this deal, but he needs to get out of it right now. It's been seasoned. I mean, the people have been living there. Everything's good. Do you want to pick this one up? Do you know of anybody who'd want to pick this one up? Right? Don't ask them directly. Of course, that deal's even better than a deal that's brand new. This one has a track record. This one, you could have Tom do a reference for you. Hey, Tom, I got a person who wants to take that deal. Would you just tell him that, you know, everything's been good with it? Do you see how easy this is? You never need to hold the money for any longer than a couple weeks because you can always find somebody else to take that deal, okay? And you're going to have people lined up waiting for the deals. Let's go on. Perfect. I'll draw up the papers, get you the, you know, we can do it at a lawyer's office or however you want to do it. Make the check out to my LLC, blah, 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 okay? So you close on the deal and any other questions? Right? Always answer questions. Well, no, everything's good. Okay, perfect. Let's do this deal. So here's what happens. So every month they get a check. So the first month, the person gets a check for $167. What does that tell them about the deal? You get a check for $167. What's the reaction? It's legit. It's on. It's working, right? It's the heartbeat of the deal. I got the check just like he said. I don't have to worry about this for 30 days, right? Isn't there a rap song, something about I got 100 problems, but you ain't one or something like that? Yes. That's what I would do, right? I'd be like, oh man, I'd forgotten about that deal. Oh, I got the check. Damn, that deal's working. Good, perfect. The second month, they get a check. And now the check comes in the mail and their spouse finds the check and they're like, hey man, what's this check for 160? Oh yeah, remember that deal you told me that the guy was a scammer? Yeah, what happened? Well, this is the second check. Really? Yeah, every month, man, we get a check. Okay. Who's waiting for the check on the third month? Who's waiting for the check? Who's waiting by the mailbox? The spouse, exactly. Exactly, right? So now, and it doesn't have to be a wife or husband. I'm not going to get in gender things. It could be the husband. But now, so the spouse is like waiting because they want to go buy golf clubs or get the car washed or whatever. That $167 is like free money. And by the way, the spouse will always say, man, I'm really glad you did that deal. I'm glad you took my advice and did that deal. Right? So the person has to be okay with that. It's like, it's okay if it's somebody, what is it? Success has many parents. Failure is an orphan. It's okay if the spouse says, that was my idea. Perfect, right? Okay, so after 12 months, and by the way, this is cumulative. Those checks come in every month, and it's like a freaking hit of cocaine or something. It's narcotic. Okay, it really does. It has an endorphin effect in the brain. Okay, because think about this. Every other investment they have, what do they get in the mail every quarter on it? What is it called? It ain't a check. It's what? It's not Jolly Rogers. What do you get from your 401k? What do you get from your retirement account, from Schwab, from Fidelity? A statement. Does a statement, now you don't get a dividend, you get a statement. Does a statement give you the same endorphin rush as a check that you can then go down and cash and spend money? Does anybody get their heartbeat up when they get a statement? Especially if it went down for the month. Then they may not even open it. They're like, oh yeah, I don't want to deal with this. See, you're creating incredible value. People don't have a way to get checks. The only checks most people are getting is from working. Passive income is like the angels sing. If you don't have it in your life, you can't appreciate it yet. When you get it, you'll be like, oh my God, why was I ever doing anything else? That's how powerful it is. Okay? So after 12 months, right? 12 months is up. Hey, Bob, it's been 12 months. You know what? Do you want your money back? Where should I send it? What will they say? 95% of the time. No, don't send it back. Dude, what are you doing? Well, wait a minute. We only had a deal for, yeah, but I want the $167 checks. I don't know what to do with this money. You give me that 20 grand back, 40 grand back, 50 grand back. What am I supposed to do with it? Dude, can we do another deal? Is 10% too high? I mean, I could come down to 7 or 8%. Just, dude, checks, monthly checks, endorphin rush. My wife likes it. My husband likes it. My kids like it. Do you see the difference? Okay, who's scribbling on my screen now? Come on, don't do that. Annotation. Clear my drawings. Clear all drawings. There you go. Don't draw on my drawings. Do you guys see this? Okay, I know maybe my delivery isn't the best here, but let me shut this off. Hold on. Annotations. Okay, stop. Okay, but this is really important. By the way, Bill, I got another 100 grand. I just inherited money from my father. I just got a severance package. I cashed out my Apple stock, whatever. Can we do more deals? You got any more of these? That's the conversation. Now, think about that conversation. That person is chasing you to give you their money. How cool is that? Is that in your life right now? Are you creating enough value, and do you have enough knowledge to have that relationship? If not, do it, right? If not, learn what you need to know and do what you need to do, okay? Now, here's a great story, and this is an absolute true story. So you got a couple of people that you got deals going with, and believe me, they're now real estate investors. They're living vicariously through you. You send them a picture, and I'll show you the pictures of the people that are in the deals, the tenants, and all that sort of stuff. So these people are like, this is great, man. I'm a real estate investor, and I'm really a chiropractor, and I don't know jack about real estate, but you know. So one of my investors is in a cubicle, and his boss comes by, and there's a picture of the tenants with a little sign that says, "Thank you, Jim." The guy's name is Jim. "Thank you, Jim. We're going to end up owning this house." So the boss picks up the picture and he's like, "Dude, man, what's this all about?" And he goes, "I'm a real estate investor." Jim says, "I'm a real estate investor." He goes, "You're a real estate investor? You're a freaking paralegal. What do you know about real estate?" He goes, "I don't know nothing about real estate." He says, "But I know a guy who knows about real estate. You're not going to believe what this guy is doing, or gal." He says, he buys these houses. He's got these people. They don't have any other freaking options. He sets them up so they're going to end up owning the properties. They tell their friends. They find houses for them, make a buttload of money, and we're doing all sorts of good. Okay? Before he's done with the conversation, what does his boss say? What does his boss say? Yes! How do I get, what's Bill's number? In fact, I'll tell you what, hold on a second. I got something really good. When I do this live, I have signs. And this is really cool, right? Remember the first one was, "What about me?" Okay. And the other one was, "No, please keep it," right? Keep the money. What was the interest rate? 7 to 8% or 10. And what do they say? I can't see if it's all there, but what's Bill's cell phone number? That's exactly what's going to happen, right? Because it's self-interest. It's like, dude, that's much more going on than I got going on. So I get a call from this guy named Dr. Dave, right? What's the, I'm looking at chat line. I'm doing a little bit of squirrel here. How can I get involved? Okay. So I get a call from this guy, Dr. Dave, and I answer the phone, and this guy says, "Hey, my name is Dr. Dave. You don't know me, but I'm a friend of your friend Jim." So I'm like, "Oh yeah, Jim, man, we're doing these real estate deals. We got all this stuff going on." He cuts me off. He says, "Yeah, forget about Jim. You and me. Let's talk. How do I get in on this?" Exact words, man. Throws Jim under the bus. Okay. Well, geez, Dr. Dave, you know, I do these. Jim tell you what I do? Yeah, he says, if you're half as good as what Jim was saying, he says, you know, you and I got to work together. Because Jim edified me like crazy. He said more crap about me than I would ever say, right? He's like, this guy walks on water. He turns water into wine. He, you know, owns every house in Georgia, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, dude, you know, is any of this crap true? It's like, well, I'm sure he's overstated it a little bit, but you want to do some real estate deals? He goes, yeah, I want to do a deal like he's got a picture on his desk. And I said, well, you know, Dr. Dave, I says, I only do a couple of deals a year, and I only do the best deals, and I got a couple people in front of you, right? And he goes, you got people in front of me? I go, well, yeah. And he goes, well, what number am I? I go, well, you're number 5 right now. He says, 5? He says, I'm number 5. It's going to take 5 deals before I get to do something. I go, yeah, I mean, that's just, you know, the way the people came in. And he goes, okay, well, call me when you get a deal. 3 days later, I get an envelope in the mail, and I open it up, and it's a check from Dr. Dave for $20,000 made out to my LLC. How did he know what my LLC's name was? Come on, how did he know? He asked Jim. He's like, Jim, what company is this? Oh, these guys get this company called Happy Acres or blah, 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 right? So $20,000 check. So I get on the phone. I pick up the phone and I go, hey, Dr. Dave, listen, this is Bill Omi up in Georgia. He goes, yeah, I was expecting to hear from you. I go, listen, I got this $20,000 check in the mail, but maybe there's a misunderstanding because I don't have any deals right now for you. And, you know, you're still like on the list. And he goes, not a problem. He says, I got a question for you. I said, what's that, Dr. Dave? I said, does that $20,000 in your hand right now move me up the list at all? And I said, you know, now that you mention it, I think you just went right to the top of the list. And he goes, yep, that's what I figured. He says, listen, you take that $20,000, you put it in your desk. When you find one of those killer deals, cash the check, send me the paperwork. We got a deal? Oh, and by the way, if you're half as good as they say, I got friends all over the place that want to work with you. Are you having conversations like that with people? It's not that you can't. It's just that you just got to learn some stuff, right? You got to learn some stuff and you got to do some stuff. Do you guys see the point? That's my Dr. Dave story. Okay, now I'm going to get somebody on the line here who's going to say, how am I doing on time? I don't want to, because I quit this. Oh, we're good. Okay, so I got somebody on the line from San Francisco, from New York. But Bill, how can you do this in expensive markets? My properties are so expensive. Boo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Okay, fine. So it's pretty simple to do this in expensive markets, right? $20,000 won't buy anything where I live. Okay, I get it. So you're going to use creative acquisition strategies. You're going to learn how to do subject twos. So the deal might not be you're going to buy the property cash. The deal might be you're going to buy it subject to an existing mortgage and you only need 15 grand to bring the loan current. See, it's just a different conversation. But you still got to be creating value, right? If the house is upside down in value, I hope nobody lends you money because you're an idiot, okay? You're not an investor. You're a dangerous person and you don't deserve money, okay? So you're going to learn the creative acquisition strategies. You're going to learn subject to. It might be a seller financing deal. Hey, listen, I got a deal where the seller will finance this $300,000 overpriced house in California, but I got to put 10% down. Oh, so really all you're looking for is 30 grand again. Oh, okay. Let's talk. See, it's much easier to have a conversation about $20, $30, $40, $50,000 than $350,000. Are you kidding me? Who is going to take a risk on you for 350 grand? Maybe your mom. Okay. Other than that, no sane person, right? You don't deserve it. You haven't earned it. Okay. So you're going, or the converse thing is invest remotely. Learn how to invest remotely. Learn how to get boots on the ground. Learn how to cultivate a property manager in that area. Maybe it's another Renatus person that wants to pair up. You think there's a Renatus person in, I don't know, Valdosta, Georgia, Little Rock, Arkansas, Shreveport, Louisiana, Kansas City, Missouri, Columbus, Ohio, Corpus Christi, Texas, Littletown, Oklahoma, all these great places to invest. You don't have to live there. You just have to have relationships. See the difference? Okay. But Bill, where do I find these potential investors? You are surrounded by them, man. But if you've got a scarcity and fear of loss thing going, they're not going to come out of the woodwork. They're not going to like show themselves. Or start getting better relationships. Who are you hanging out with? If you're hanging out with just broke people, stop, right? Stop. Because it's not broke. It's broke is temporary. Poor is permanent, okay? Don't hang out with poor-minded people. That's the issue, okay? Everyone's broken. They won't lend me money. In Renatus, there's like 15,000 people in this group. You think there's a couple of them that might give you their opinion on a deal? Good God, man. It's everywhere you are. You don't even realize. It's like until you tune into this, until you change your mindset, it's amazing. You don't even know that you're walking past deals every day. You're walking past money every day. There's infinite amounts of money. God, it's so amazing. I'm working on a 7-figure deal right now where I may get the money for free. And it's because of a relationship of a person. I didn't even know it existed 2 days ago. I'm doing due diligence on it now. It might not work out. That's okay. But if it does work out, I'll make, I don't know, $1 million on a deal. Okay? Since you learned. Okay, and I'm not, look, I'm not trying to beat up on anybody. I'm just doing this for emphasis. But I'm not here to give you a hug. That's not my thing, right? If you know the drive system, I'm an executive. I'm here to give it to you like it is. If you can't handle it, I don't know what to tell you, man. Not my problem, okay? Improve your relationships and your value creation skills, okay? You're hanging out with people like that because that's your level, man. That's what you can contribute to the dynamic. Start creating value. Start talking. When somebody comes up to you right now and says, how's it going? If I hear you, and I'll never hear you, but if I sense that you say nothing much or same old, I'm going to reach through the computer and slap you on the side of the head and say, are you kidding me? Is that the best you got? Instead, you're like, no. I went to this thing the other night about how to raise infinite money on real estate. Really? Holy crap, tell me more. Oh yeah, and I'm working with a bunch of guys and gals that are kicking butt, and they're getting out. They're not going to be retiring when they're 65. They're going to be retiring in 5 years. They're building cash flow rather than saving money. They're not letting the bank screw them over. And the person's going to be drawn into you like a moth to the flame. It's like, dude, can I get some of that? My life is stinko right now. I just lost my job for the 4th time. I can't pay my bills. Hanging out with a bunch of broke ass people. Broke people, excuse me. You get it? Okay. What's he say? I comprehend. Please, can I get this recording? I'm working and driving. Okay, don't drive off the road, okay? Colorado, this is good. I had to pull over. I had to pull over. I tell a story when I figured out those 2 commands, the 2-step thing to becoming financially independent. I had to pull off, this was about 15 years ago. I pulled off into a church parking lot. A church parking lot, because I think it was God that brought that down. And it was like a lightning flash. It's like, oh my God, this isn't that hard. This is really simple. And everybody's making it too hard. Okay, so let's go on. You guys have any more comments? Okay, I'm doing okay. So look at that picture. That's the type of picture that your investor is going to have on their desk. Did they get that type of picture from Schwab, Fidelity, Goldman Sachs, Vanguard, Amazon? No. They know they're doing good. They know they're making a difference, okay? In summary, never ask to borrow money, okay? Don't ask for a favor, ask for an opinion. Okay, when somebody asks you for a favor, your response should be, it depends, because I don't know what you're asking me for. And chances are it's for money, okay? And no, I'm not interested. Okay, in this scenario, did anyone ask me to pull my credit report? Did anyone ask me for my job history, my boss's name, my experience level in real estate investing? Come on, this is an answer in the chat line. No. Did anyone ask for 2 years tax returns or bank statements? No. Did anyone ask me for financial statements, references? What other crap did I have here? Etc. No. And at a minimum, they lent 100% of the purchase price. And if you need a little bit extra, might get a little bit extra. It just depends if you really want the debt. You know, don't be a jerk. Don't go getting money and buying a car or going on vacation or something, because then you're irresponsible, okay? Look, this is a solemn responsibility. If you're taking other people's money to invest, you damn well better be taking care of it, okay? You better have the ability and the integrity to pay them back. Because if you don't, you will never get a second chance, okay? And if I have anything to do with it, I will make sure that you never get a second chance. Because that's unexcusable, okay? You don't get to default on this. Oh, by the way, there's a limit on how many properties you can do, like if you were trying to get a bank loan doing this? Nope. In fact, it gets easier and easier and easier. In fact, you know what? You'll have to stop from doing this because you really only want to do the best deals. You'll have Dr. Dave's calling you up and saying, I did this speech, this is funny, 3 years ago in Renatus. I did this, a similar version of this, right? It was simpler. I'm giving you the bigger version. I did like a 20-minute version of this in a impact meeting just to fill in some time for Scott Rowe. When I got done, I had 3 people that I never talked to in Renatus called me up and said, dude, where do I send my money? I said, no, it was just a demonstration. They said, no. How do I work with you? That was freaking great. Okay. I mean, I didn't even ask them their opinion. Just showed them what was going on. Okay. Was there any appraisals, any BPOs, any cosigners, any key insurance, any money draws, any other crap associated with closing? Shut up and take my money. Exactly. It's like, shut up already. Where do I send the check? But I don't need your check. No, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Just tell me where to send the damn money. It's true. Okay? Because look, here's the point. The first deal you do, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, what is that really? If you've got somebody who's willing to work with you and wants to put their money on the line, what is that first $20,000, $30,000, or $40,000? It's not really an investment. It's what? They don't know you. They're willing to take a gamble. It's a test. It's exactly a test, because it would be if it was you on the other side of the table. You'll be like, okay, your crap sounds good, and it looks like you know what you're doing. I can take a flyer on 20 or 30 grand. I can't take a flyer on 120 grand. You're not worth it. But 20 or 30, okay, let's do one. It's a test. And the minute they start getting those checks, they know that that test was good. And if they get a chance to get their money back, you don't even have to send them the money back. You just offer to send them the money back. They're like, oh, no, don't send me, never send me the money back, right? How do we do the next one? Okay? It's a test. Don't blow the test. Here's the other thing. When you're borrowing money from a bank or a hard money lender, a lot of times you're signing personally for all that crap. So if you default, they're coming after your piggy bank. They're coming after your kid's college tuition, okay? Because you made a personal guarantee. If you do this, you're going to set up the note so it's a non-recourse loan. The only recourse is the property that you've given them a mortgage on. That's it. And I am telling you, no one will have a problem with that. Okay? So now you can get non-recourse lending. Now look, I know you're going to pay, but let's say the market crashes, we have a nuclear attack, COVID kills half the population. I don't know what can happen. But in that terrible scenario, it might be out of your control. At least you're not on the hook for everything you own. You borrow money from a bank, you are. Unless it's a business loan, which most people don't do, you're personally guaranteeing that loan. So you're on the hook all the way up to your eyeballs, okay? But not in this case. And if you've got these relationships, you can get money in 48 hours. You can get money in 24 hours. I have investors right now that if I call them up and say, listen, I'm going to an auction tomorrow, and this property, you're not going to believe what I'm going to do. They'd be like, I don't even care what the deal is. Where do you want the money wired? How much do you need? It's like, well, don't you want to? No, I don't have time. Tell me how much. Do you have those relationships yet? You should be striving for that. And it's because you're creating huge value for everybody involved. You create a huge value for that person that's in the deal with you. Did you not create huge value for their spouse? Yes. Did you create huge value for a seller that needs to get rid of the property? It might be a bank that just needs to liquidate. Yep. Do you create huge value for the tenant? Oh my God. Your tenants, if you do this right, they hit the lottery. Okay? It's not a landlord-tenant relationship. You are a superhero. Okay? You think that might have a tenant that appreciates what you're doing? Yep. Okay? Do you create value for the community? Yes. In fact, I have had people call me up and say, can you help me find a house? I said, where'd you get my name? From a church pastor. I don't even know who they are. From City Hall. People are handing out my name saying, if you want to do something, you got to talk to this guy. Okay? That's where you want to be. Huge value for everybody involved, especially your investors. You got to treat your investors well, man. And I'm not kidding. If you're a jerk with money, you deserve not to have money. That's good. But if you know how to create value and you're helping other people, then all the money in the world is available to you. It's unlimited, right? You're going to have relationships with people with more money than you ever thought was possible. But you got to work up to that, okay? So here's my suggestion as we're wrapping up here. Practice this. If you're just starting out, even if you don't have a deal, put together a theoretical deal, right? Look on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, the MLS, whatever, what you think you could do in a deal, and warm up a couple of people as investors. You see the difference? Say, hey, listen, you know I'm a real estate investor, right? They'll be like, well, yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, perfect. See, when you say you're a real estate investor, you're past that part. If you say to somebody, hey, you know I'm a real estate investor, and you haven't been saying you're a real estate investor, they're like, well, when did you become a real estate investor? How long have you done it? What do you know? How many deals have you done? How much money? Blah, 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 blah. It's like a freaking inquisition, right? But if they go on your Facebook page and it says, Joe Schmo, I'm a broke person and a real estate investor. Next time you say you're a real estate investor, they're like, oh yeah, I saw that somewhere. You're a real estate investor. Done, check mark, no problem, okay? Chaz says, I have guaranteed funding up to $600,000 for my first deal. I only have 2 months to structure a wham of a first deal. Any takers, calm and collected, I'm ready, please call me, okay. I don't know, I have no idea if you're good or not, Chaz. But if you have more money than deals, I would be nervous. People with more money than good deals, just be careful, okay? Because I'd rather have you have tons of deals. That's where the value is. Money's easy. And there's a picture that somebody could put on their desk, okay? Guys, it's all about people. It's not about money. Real estate is all about helping people, okay? Mic drop, boom. Okay? Okay, so anybody want to see a deal? You want to just go through it real quick? You can tell us how you find the deals. Oh, I'll show you how I found a deal right here. Look, and Mark, part of what getting into our education is finding these different ways that we do it. There's probably 13 different ways to find deals. Tonight, we're just focusing on funding. That's another conversation. That's classes. That's learning how to do it, okay? Okay, let's go on. This is cool. Okay, there's the new deal. Is that a nice house? Is that a nice rental house? 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, 400 square feet, 1 acre, central air brick. That's a great rental house. Okay? If you find that house, if you don't buy it, you call this community, somebody's going to buy it. Okay? There's me working on the deal. Look, that's me. I'm at a foreclosure. I'm competing with a bunch of other people at a foreclosure. Real estate is hard work. I know I make it seem easy, but it is really hard work. Okay? No, I wasn't really sleeping. I was looking at the inside of my eyelids, waiting for the auction. Okay, so it's worth $119,000. I paid $13,101. Do you know how to do that? You got to learn, right? It's just learning. So that was a $100,000 day. How many of you guys have had a $100,000 day? Now look, there's people out there that's had $1 million days. This wasn't a $1 million day. This is a $100,000 day. But do you see this is different than a job? Okay? This is creating wealth out of thin air. By the way, it'll rent for $850 a month because really that's what matters. Cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. In fact, I have a little sign that whenever anybody is in doubt, just to remind everybody. Okay? So it's $850 a month. How do we find that deal? Who wanted to know? I can't remember the name. I can't say. How do we do this? How do we do this, Bill? You have ideas like this in my area. My area sucks. Everything's too hard. There's all these investors. Whine, 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 whine. My life is hard. I'm a victim. I was the only bidder at a foreclosure auction. But when I go to my county, when I go to Fulton County in Atlanta, or I go to Pinellas County in Tampa, or I go to Clark County in, I don't know, Seattle, there's 1 million people there. So what's the answer to that? Come on, you guys got a chat line. If you're going to places with 1 million investors, don't go there, right? It hurts when I do this, then don't do it, right? Figure out where there's not as much competition. The whole freaking country has opportunity. But like, where I live, it's really tough. Yeah, I know. Like, this is what I used to say when I was a manager in corporation. Okay, let's just stipulate that your life is hard. Can we stipulate that? Now can we go on? Okay. Oh, yeah, the bottom. I got 10 tenants in 3 days. I put that sign. That's my huge marketing program. Okay, that is my high-priced tech, funnel-driven marketing, Google ad search word system. Put that sign on the house. In 3 days, I had 10 people. I had people that said, I want that house, whatever I need to do, I will do it. I don't know. It seemed that hard to me. Is that a great deal? Is that by definition a great deal? So could I go with that deal and ask some people their opinion? Yes, you bet I could. I could ask people an opinion. I bought that cash. I didn't need any money. If I put that out, the first person I call and I ask them their opinion, I could have $30,000 in 15 minutes. I had a guy who called me and says, I'll take it as is. I'll buy it from you for 50 grand. Will you sell it to me? I said, no, because I'm going to make $250,000 over 10 years. But it's not to brag. It's to show you what's possible. Okay, what are you doing? What relationships, what knowledge do you have, and are you accruing? And look, the people teaching these classes, I learned this at the group. I didn't like, it wasn't divine inspiration or something. I learned it from people, right? Okay, yep, ha ha ha. What do you set your own price as market rate or more? That's a whole thing. And that's an interesting question. Let me ask you a question. If you sell a house to somebody and they get a bank financing, what limits the purchase price? How bad am I on time? I got 1 minute left. What limits the purchase price if you use bank financing? The appraisal, right? You can't sell a property for more than the appraisal. If you provide the financing and you're the bank, what limits the purchase price? Nothing limits the purchase price. What actually limits it practically is the monthly payment. But could you sell a house that will appraise at $60,000? Could you sell it for $85,000 today? Could you create $25,000 in equity just because you know how to structure a deal? Because you know how to create value? Hell yeah. Jeff Armstrong and I had this conversation. He's the guy who teaches all the banking classes, the notes class. And when we went over this and I said, you mean I can charge above the purchase price? And he just got this big old smile. He goes, if you're willing to hold the note. I said, oh man, Jeff, you're my best friend, man. He says, just don't try to sell the notes to me. He says, because I gotta discount them to the appraised value. He says, but if you're willing to hold them to conclusion, absolutely. You want to create your own market? Buy a bunch of houses and sell them with seller financing. All the comps are going to get better and better because they're above market value, right? And I might be talking above some people's heads right now, but that's okay. But you're going to learn, you're going to learn, you're going to learn, you're going to learn. So a picture's worth 1,000 words. Are you creating enough value that someone will hold up a sign that says, thank you for what you're doing? I don't know. You think those pictures go a long way when you're trying to get investors interested in your deal? Are you kidding me, man? It's worth a fortune. Anyway, that's it, guys. So just cash flow is everything. Does anybody here still think lack of money is a problem? Did I not maybe get through to somebody in the back of the room? Guys, money is the easiest thing to get, but do you have the relationships and the knowledge to deserve it? Okay, that's what it comes down to. So anyway, join our community, get educated, start thinking like this. You know, I don't know what else you got that's better, but you're not going to find anything that's better. Okay. And thanks for attending the workshop.
We've got some quick announcements, guys. If this is your first time to one of our community events, tomorrow at noon, we're doing an orientation on our group, what we do, all the details. If you'd like to attend that, get in touch with the person that invited you here. And we've got weekly events going on. If you're new again, you're just going to text the person that invited you here or call them right now. And I look forward to meeting you guys all in person. Have a great night. Bill, thank you again. That was awesome. And I'll see you soon. I'll be coming down to visit. And guys,
yeah, Umair is taking over South Carolina, man.
Yeah, I'm buying that house for 20 grand.
What did you get it for?
20 grand.
And did you think my bid helped?
Yes.
Isn't that a great story?
You want to tell them about that real quick?
Okay, I'll tell you a story. Okay, guys, look, this is good. If you got time, we got one last story. I've done this. Is it okay, Umair?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, it's okay. Okay, so Umair and I are looking at some properties, and there was this house for sale, this nice little brick house, just gorgeous freaking house, right? And they wanted $35,000 for this house. And Umair says, "What should I offer? Like 30 or 20?" And I go, "Offer him 20." It's like, 20? I go, yeah, offer him 20. So he offers him 20, and they're like, "Oh, no, we couldn't sell that for 20. We couldn't sell that. That's ridiculous. You're crazy." Right? So they counted at what, 25? So they already knocked 10,000 off, right? So I said, "Okay, watch this, Umair." So I said, "I'm going to make an offer." So I made an offer. I wrote up an offer. I said, "I'd like to buy your house for $16,000. Wow, 16,000, huh?
It helps.
Yeah, it's all contingent upon me doing an inspection, right? It's a bona fide offer. I'd really buy it for $16,000. A couple days later, Umair gets a phone call. "Hey, is that $20,000 still on the table?" Boom.
Yeah. So
right?
And then I'm going to sell that thing exactly what we've been talking about. I'm going to sell it on a lease with an option. And if they make their payments for 24 months, I'm going to be their bank.
Then they'll do seller financing, right? Be the bank.
It's been good. Yeah. It's been
and you will have people chasing you for once they start telling their friends, your phone will burn up. It's amazing.
Cash flow based retirement. Hey, Curtis, you're going to be the guy that I'm working with one of those on, dude. So I'm making it happen. And then I've got another mobile home park. I can't wait to tell you guys everything, but I've been following this, guys. I'm creating cash flow, and you should too. So
cash flow out of thin air, right? What was the deal? This is just funny. I don't know if I can tell, but let's see if Umair stops me. But we're looking over the deal, and Umair's like, "Should we do this deal? Should we do this deal?" I said, "Okay, let me look at these numbers, and let's put it in this. I'm going to put it this way to you. This whole deal is going to pay for itself. You're not going to come up with money. You're not going to have to do any work. And the minute you close on this deal, you're going to make $1,500 a month minimum. How many of those deals do you want to do?" And he's like, "As many as I can get my hands on." I said, "There it is, man." I mean, when you distill it down to that, it's like, you don't have to do anything. You're actually, somebody else is lending the money. You don't have to do anything. Just you put the deal together. You're now going to make a minimum of $1,500 a month, just starting on day one.
Yeah. And just huge congratulations to Heather Bernier too. She just closed on I think it's a duplex or a triplex right up the street. So we're doing deals, we're learning, and we're working together. If you guys want more information on partnering, doing deals, getting educated, or even just putting some extra change in your pocket, make sure you contact the person that invited you here. Bill, thank you so much, guys. Thank you for the time.
My pleasure, guys. I hope to be working with all of you.
See you guys soon.
Good night.
Good night. Bye, Bill.
Bye.
Hey, Umair, I'm going to call you real quick.
All right, brother. Sounds good. Bye, Richard. Bye, Curtis. Thank you guys for all being on. Have a blessed night.
Thank you.
Getting it.
Bye. How you doing?
Good, guys. Good night.
Good night.
Next event, Nathan, the next event is tomorrow, Saturday at noon. We're going to be doing an orientation. Text the person that invited you here to get the link. Okay? Have a good night. Shantae, glad you made it on. Have a great night. See ya. Renee, thanks for being on. Have a good night. All right. Tammy Thorpe, yes, it was amazing. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, we get together every single week, every month. We got your back. Bye, guys. Good night, Ryan. Hopefully I meet you. Fajay,
Meeting you as
thank
well.
you. Have a
Look
good
forward. Bye. Good night.
Yep, we'll talk soon. All right, we're logging off. Good night, everybody.